Hello, welcome to Discovering the World of Natural Health. I'm your host, Claiborne Holzman. We're shooting this live on July the 5th. And why am I got the beautiful stars and the stripes and everything on? Because we're still celebrating Independence Day. Independent from slavery of someone owning us as a people, the opportunity for us to be able to have life and have it more abundantly. Yes, Independence Day, 4th of July, should be remembered. And the sad part about it is, a lot of people have forgotten what the importance is for Independence Day. I believe we are a people and a country that really love one another, care for one another, help one another, and be able to have the opportunity to sprout our wings and fly, to become who we want to become, fail at what we want to fail because it didn't do like we thought it was going to do. It's okay. This show is dedicated to you. This show is dedicated to helping understand the thinking and the heart of the man sitting in front of you. That I have given my life over the years to learn that, quote unquote, the original medicine, referred to now in our day and time as alternative medicine. But what is alternative about using God's given plants and herbs and flowers as our medicine? We talk about Hippocrates, who said that we should make our medicine, I'm getting it wrong now, let food be your medicine and let medicine be your food. And it's important for us to understand that we are all together and we need it. I was reading something that was kind of unique. It said that the birds eat ants, and so they make a meal off of ants. But then when the bird dies, the ants make a meal off of the carcass of the bird. So we're still saying what goes around comes around. And I think we have gotten away from who is important in our life, and that's everyone is important in our life. Because we're all connected. Some way, somehow, at some point, we have ancestors that are connected. Spoke with a gentleman the other week, and he did this ancestry find, going in and finding out who I am connected with. Found out he has a daughter, has a granddaughter, and I think now even some grandchildren. So because of looking into the DNA of himself, and it showed up that that was part of their life and inheritance. So what do you want in your health? Because when we talk about dis-ease, D-I-S-E-A-S-E, or you put it all together and you call it disease, what we know as disease is not something that develops overnight. It's something that's been calculating within our being for some time. Short period of time or even years, it has been going on. So when we think about and talk about someone like myself And we talk about natural remedies and health, and we talk about how the body can put back into it what it has used up so it can replenish and rebuild. Remember, when you do that, we're dealing with things that have been going on for a long time in order to get to where the person is. Give me an example. A person has heart issues. They have probably diabetes, and they have other issues where author is a problem. But think about what brought it on. And if you can grasp what I'm going to share with you in the next few moments, then you can turn things around and you can have life and have it abundantly. If you'll understand the chemistry of the body in relationship to the chemistry of the plants, the animals, all the things that we work within one another, then we will understand that we are connected. We must do something not at the last moment, but make changes. I have actually seen and know people who have turned around what's going on in their life and their health because they made changes in the chemistry of their mind, soul, spirit, because of how they made the changes. What do I mean by that? Changes in what we eat, and the other thing is what we don't eat. When we look at what's known as processed food, it means it's not like it was. It's been processed. Something has changed. Has that change been for the better? Most of the time we find out that it is done so the shelf life and the expiration date can go a little bit further and a little bit longer. So that's important to do that. So there can be a better profit, so we can make sure that the masses have their greens, foods, and I see a lot more people are just raising maybe just a different plant, few chickens, and then all of a sudden they realize that, hey, this is pretty doggone good. So it's important. I'd like to read something to you from an educator of myself that I am greatly appreciated him being in my life. There was a gentleman by the name of Bernard Jensen. And Bernard Jensen, he helped discover a lot of things. I mean, he studied under Catalog Milling Company, Battle Creek, Michigan. A lot of different teachers who use the natural realm. And he shared with me, and this goes back to 1983. Yeah, a long time ago, 1983. And here we are in 2021. So unique to find out in Dr. Jensen's way of looking at things that we have the opportunity to have life and have it abundantly. And we've spent a lot of time over the years talking about life abundantly with Ed Bashaw. and how they made a difference. The thing that I believe is critical, not just important, but critical, is that we learn about the way we need to eat, to drink, sleep, rest, and that we realize and that we emphatically need the ability to have God's pharmacy be able to be recognized and not kicked to the curb. We need to know that there are choices, and we should have choices in how we review our life and our health for ourselves and our family and those we love. We need that. We need to not be punished because we use God's pharmacy and the allopathic pharmaceuticals are trying to keep us alive when we should have took care of ourselves and not do it at the last minute. We call catch up on life. It doesn't work very well and promising, and we need to make sure that we can do something that we can have that life and have it abundantly and do it naturally. But Dr. Jensen shared with me, and I want to read to you, to those men in every science and art who are investigating the properties of the chemical elements, and we're talking about in our bodies, their structure and their application for the betterment of the physical temple, man's well-being. Now, I like the way he presents that. I like the way he says, for the betterment of the physical temple of man's well-being. He dedicated his life, he dedicated a book called The Chemistry of Man, The Chemistry of Man. And a phenomenal book. And it's something I have pulled off my shelf. Actually, I pulled out of a box because it wasn't on a shelf. And I walked by it, and I could read the title of it on the box, The Chemistry of Man. And my hand just went out and says, gotta have it for right now. And I am spending time in The Chemistry of Man, in the book by Dr. Jensen, who he had a great teacher whose name was V.G. Rosine. And Rosine, he had research in food chemistry, and the chemistry of man was one of the things that gave Dr. Jensen the incentive to investigate and apply this work. And at the time, they had places for people to go called sanitariums. And people would go, check themselves in, and they would just have a change of diet. And it was amazing. People were sick. They were not doing well. And they went, and the thing that happened, and listen to me carefully. The thing that happened was, they, yes, did food, prepared it, fresh and raw. And one thing he said, it has to look pretty. It has to look inviting. It has to be something people are enticed to do. Instead of doing something crazy, like when someone turns 20 or, and they're saying, hey, you can go drinking now, with us. But what happens to our body, our life, and our spirits? He says, application for the betterment of the physical temple of man's well-being. Did you realize that we live in a temple? We're made in the image and likeness of God. He made us because He wanted to have favor with us. To know the dust of the earth in the form of dust of the earth, what's in the dust of the earth? There are vitamins, enzymes, protein, starches, fats, postulantins, and mineral supplements in food. Is to be understood the source in nature from which health and well-being spring. And that's what He wanted us to understand. And that is, we are what we eat, we are what we don't eat, we are what we come from. And I just think it's really rewarding that you and I can have a moment and talk about this. A moment with you to share God's given apothecary, God's given lifeline, God's given food. And we need to raise some ourselves, even if it's one plant. Yeah, because if you have one plant and it has your love, it has the body sucking it up and being able to use it. If we will learn, and I think it's something very, very important, the chemistry of man and who we are. And we need to take an advanced look at nutrition, nutritional deficiencies and types of people. For the student, the nurse, the doctor, who wants proper information to teach their patients. For a person who is ready for a new path, rationale for changing our old habits of life. It will show that nutrition is probably the greatest of all health arts, and it is necessary for us to know this art in order to keep well. That's what we're coming to and needing to do. While we say nutrition is most important, it is not everything. For we must realize that when we apply, and now listen to me on this one, we're talking about, yeah, we need to watch what we eat, what we don't eat. We need to be on this diet or that diet. But we apply the mental, the physical, the mechanical, and the chemical therapies in the healing art. It will be to no avail unless nutritional foundation has been properly laid. No therapy can ultimately be successful unless we have the nutritional art working with it. You know, we bring out the information and we say it. And I'm going to say it again, very important, that our bodies are made of the dust of the earth. So we must live close to the earth. The vegetables, the fruits, the nuts, the berries, the flowers, and herbs that transform the chemicals of the earth into living biochemicals. I'm sharing heavy, powerful information, wellness information with you. And we have the biochemicals that are fit for our use, our need, our weakness, our deficiency. We cannot go amiss in seeking out the values in this direction. We can pray. But what did God say? He said we also can pray amiss. Unless we realize that we must follow the natural path of living to experience the level of health and vitality, and then we can find out what we're made for. You know, Dr. Jensen made a statement that I thought was very good, because we live in this society. Everyone's thinking they need a diet for making it right. You know, diet after diet has been explored, and many of them are brought forth. Some have turned out to be unhealthy and have disregarded. However, as we go through the chemistry of man, we want people to realize that man lives as much on what he expresses as what he eats. Whoa. What we talk about, what we express, how we live, and how we live with each other is just as important as what we eat. It is this expression that gives man the philosophy and awakens his conscience to seek the greater things in life. So we touch on the various symptoms that come from chemical shortages in the body. Whoa, 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 Claiborne, what are you talking about? Shortages in the body. Let us realize that this is one department that needs to be explored to a greater extent than we have previously gotten into. We need to explore the life-giving foods. While many diets can balance our body, and while many diets can make for a chemical shortage, a great number are useless. These are about as many diets as there are, and he says, doctors. The most important question is, what is the makeup of a particular diet? We must inquire whether there is adequate nutrition, is that for density to replace and rebuild the chemical structure of the human body. Now, I'm going to put it this way. It's not just a human body. It is the human temple, which is made up of the dust of the earth, and we must understand this dust. We must understand what the earth has to offer us. When we recognize that we have to have the dust of the earth, that includes everything between earth and heaven, and it is this end that must go deeper into the body and find what we're made of, where we have come from, and what is possible to become in the future. Where was our existence? What is our game plan for life? And then afterlife, what is it all about? We got to get cooking on it. Food science has brought out in many directions today what cannot be understood without knowing the chemical structure of foods. In other words, in order to understand what's being done, we need to know the chemistry of the foods and the chemical needs of the body. What does my body need? What is it missing? And we have tools that have the capability of telling us you are deficient in vitamin D. Well, how long have we been chasing vitamin D to find out that it had a need? Iron, and anemia. Things that we needed, now we just scratched the surface with it because you're going to get a patented drug and not do something that's so simple that it costs less than $1 to get you well if you use what God has in store for you. Because depleted souls mean depleted foods, it is very necessary that we know what is in our carrots, what makes a plum, why the oxalic acid in the rhubarb can be of harm. Then we need to look at the symptoms in terms of body chemistry. When we see how symptoms in our body can be from a chemical shortage, and how symptoms can be eliminated from the body by taking foods to restore that we have burned out in our body, we begin to understand how carrots and plums can be our medicine. It is then that we realize how a deeper study has to come along to explore what helps make the human body all that it's possible to be. We gotta. What is a carrot for? What is a plum for? What is that watermelon for? What is that blueberry, that blackberry? And then, it is amazing that how all of a sudden things don't work in the pharmaceutical realm, or there are the consequences of the side effects. So all of a sudden we realize that the ancient, and by ancient I'm just talking about in my lifetime, how many things we've had available there to use, foods that were available to help overcome sickness, the flu, whatever it may be. And that way we can take and, they found out carrots. Take that carrot the long way and slice it. That was pretty good, watch. Take that carrot, slice it, now you got a nub. You eat that carrot, what is one of the things it has in it? Beta-carotene. Why beta-carotene? What's something it can be used for? Let's talk about, before we had all the great universities, all the great schools of the great doctors, that carrot had been observed by a medicine man or an indigenous person that was frowned upon. But they knew for a fact that they could take that carrot and look at it, and it looks like an eye. Found out eye health is important and can be nurtured And the deficiency can help us be happier and healthier because we can see better. That's what it's all about. Learning God's chemistry in His creations for what we need. Give you another one, and this has gotten really big, so to speak, and that is elderberry. Elderberry is a plant right here that grows in a ditch bank. Now, and it's so available for God's people. Why is it so available? Because it builds the immune system. It helped people when they were combating the flu. Immune system needed boosting. I mean, now they start making it into syrup. Lollipop. What I'm saying is that these plants have the chemistry to affect the chemistry in us to make us whole if we're taking the right thing. So, I don't know, this is so heavy, but I am so into Dr. Bernard Jensen and his teachings. One of the things that helped me with Dr. Jensen was the discovering of the eyes and the iris of the eyes, and a modality called Iridology, and being able to see the negativities that are going on in the lives of people through just looking into the eyes. He did great work on that and helped a lot of people recognize chemistry of man through the weakness of the disposition of the body, and that was the eyes are like a dashboard on your car with all those idiot lights, so to speak. And that's what God put in us, that we could look into the iris of the body of the person and see the weaknesses and put back into what the body's deficient. Maybe like in the carrots, we were talking about the beta carotene. Okay? Poor food can have undesirable side effects just like drugs. Good foods, balanced and in right proportions, assist the body in healing itself and then moving us toward the upright to higher levels and well-being. To truly enjoy life, we must have all the elements which are so necessary in order to have a full-grown, beautiful, lovely body. And I just want to read this from Dr. Jensen. I owe so much of this work to V.G. Rosine, who has been the one teacher whom I believe has given me more to think about, more to work with in my sanitarium practice than any other. I was able to see those people who are ailing leave their problems behind. I was able to see those who had poor mental attitude change for the better. I was able to see the alcoholic kick the habit, and those who had a tendency toward violence became more relaxed and mellow again through the proper changes in nutrition and activity. Above all things, we hope that the chemical balances or dynamics of the body are sufficiently shown here to point us to where we need to understand and do in order to bring the body to a full and whole expression of health, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I want to give you a little bit more depth into this. While we have spent many years in many dieting procedures, we recognize that there is, listen carefully, more than just diet, more than treating a sickness or an ailment. Okay? There is the spiritual, there is the mental, there is the ethical, moral side to the eating problems. Moral side to the eating programs. But we cannot be well with a prayer in one hand and a cola drink and a Frankfurter in the other. And so the natural health practitioner wants the most important thing we can think of, and that is the chemical story. This is the most neglected part of most diets, and is from the viewpoint we have built a healthy way of living that takes in the jobs, the marriages, the finances, the environment, types of people, and the kind of foods we eat, the values in most foods, so that we may become a whole person and having high-level function in every organ. High-level function in every organ. This book is taken up what we neglect in the chemistry of man. The neglect is too much a sin toward the human body as a neglect of a spiritual philosophy. We have to be made whole. We've got to deal with the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the ethical, financial. All of it helps us to be who we want to be. And most of the time, we don't know that we need what we need. So, listen to this statement by Dr. Jensen, the true responsibility for the handling of disease should be put directly in the hands of those who are dedicated to preventing disease. We spend a great deal of time and money patching and fixing up the broken down physical vehicle that was designed to be self-repairing, self-rebuilding, self-rejuvenating. Did you even know that? Did you even, or have you been able to be aware that that is what we are living in? Every disease takes time to develop. To eliminate a disease properly, it is necessary that we spot it, take care of it in the beginning. Our American Cancer Society says that it takes at least 20 years to develop many types of cancer. Where is the doctor who can diagnose and take care of these diseases in the beginning? People need prevention and early treatment, not such a late diagnosis that there's little that can be done. A body that is chemically well balanced will normalize itself. Every disease, every symptom, discharge, pain, indicates chemical imbalance in the body. 80% of all diseases treated in the United States are chronic. I am sure that half of these problems could be corrected by developing the proper nutritional balance in our eating program. We hit on that. We scoot around that, but it's not one of the vital. Even working with Cancer Center Treatments of America and being there with patient, listening to protocol, listening to what the naturopathic doctor does. If you get sick and start throwing up, they'll give you some ginger. Looking to put back into the body what the chemicals destroy. Was further along than where we treat here locally. You know, diet is not part of the healing process, and it should be. And different types of modalities of chemicals most of the time are dictated by the pharmaceutical companies, is what allow the patient to have based on certain tests they've done. We have got to get to the point where God is God, man is not God, and we can let God teach us how to prevent what we've got now dealing with. Should have been 20 years ago. So what can we do now? What can we take? What can we have? We talked about the food. We talked about being able to help the body become normal without fighting the sickness and disease, and the organs just get plain long wore out. But you know, there's certain herbs for certain, you know, just give you an idea. I stopped in the middle of my sentence, I apologize. People get the heart just gets overworked by taking and putting in things that make it difficult. The blood, not the proper consistency, causes the heart to work harder. Things that block the arteries, when we could get rid of that type of food in our diet, it wouldn't be a problem. And it would just be a prevention type of thing, just to check it out, see if it's okay. I have today, on the 5th of July, 2021, came in with my patriotic hat, patriotic shirt, because we have what it takes in this country to be made whole. We have what it takes to overcome what God says, death, world, the flesh. But the bottom line is, we are so in tuned to the feel-good medicine that we miss out. It's kind of, I'm going to say, the biggest part and the biggest thing that we need to deal with in being well. Are you ready? I'm going to tell you. It's okay. It's called the sin of omission. It's what we're not told. It's what we're not put in tune with. It's what is taken from us and not given to us because it really works and helps. So if we omit and don't put back into what we need so our body can function properly, we've got to get it. I am so excited that I'm going to give you, these are kind of like synonyms as to what can be done with something. You know, you and I and Mother Earth, okay? Let's be serious here for a minute. And I'm going to talk to you about, you know, what's in the body. You know, you come to the health food store, you say, well, the doctor says I need some calcium. My calcium is low. You know, and there is a herb called bone knitter. And calcium, you, I, and Mother Earth, calcium is referred to as a knitter, putting it together, holding it together, the bones. Carbon is important to our diet. It's the builder, what we need. Chlorine, it's the cleanser, gets the toxins, the poisons out of it. Fluorine, the decay resistance element. Hydrogen, the moisturizer. Iodine, the metabolizer. Iron has a nickname called the frisky horse. Magnesium. Magnesium, I think everybody that I meet is low in magnesium because can't nobody relax. And that's what magnesium's nickname is, the relaxor. And, okay, this is for all you Casanovas out there, or want to be, or think you are. Manganese is known as the love element. Nitrogen is the restrainer. Oxygen, most of you kind of about know what this is because without it, we don't live. But oxygen is the giver of life. Phosphorus is a light bearer. Potassium is a great alkaliner. Silicon, magnetic element. Sodium, the youth element. You know, those are things that are there for us. And then we've got to, you know, get a soil template. If you're gonna take advantage of raising a few things, it may take a little while to get it done now because of, but go to the Department of Agriculture and ask them to do a soil test on your little plot of land that you're doing and see if it has the right things in it. The same thing, if you can get this across, folks, the same thing that the soil needs for the plant that's going to be planted there is the same thing you and I need when we are being worked and different things that's being required of us, and we got to put it back. If we put it back, then our body can be made whole. And it's all about nature. I mean, if there is something that's going to rescue us with all the things that, whether they are man-made, all the negative stuff we've been putting up with and still putting up with, we need the ability to have our bodies, our minds, our soul, our spirit, our total entity replenished, fulfilled, and put back into it. Yes, we can have more of what our body needs, put it in there, give it what it needs, and watch how much our sphincterictum, get up and go, is better. Food is more than meets the eye. We're going to talk about that for a moment. It's just, yeah. As the new day comes in the healing arts, nutrition is becoming and beginning to gain recognition as a particular important for holistic health care. Nutrition today, however, is quite incomplete. Recognize calories, vitamins, and proteins, carbohydrates. Put all that stuff together, may call it the dust of the earth. But every tissue, function, and regeneration activity is driven toward fulfillment of perfection as encoded in the DNA, RNA of the cells, and in the function of the brain. This can only occur when the appropriate elements of the earth are present within us to work on our behalf. As already indicated, these chemical elements are found in the earth in the form of inorganic material. They eventually become biochemical or life-giving as they evolve through plant life by the seed, the fruit, the juice, the greens, the salads, juices, tonics, and whatever else we are able to put on the kitchen table. It's there. The chemistry is there for us to have our healing. The chemistry is there for us to look at what is the plant, what is the source that's going to give us the nutrients we need. You know, foods are made of certain things. There are things that are essential, things that are non-essential. Talk about fats. Talk about chemical additives. We've got to realize the chemistry of man-made chemicals put into the soil to kill the weeds, etc. Also the same things that if it's going to kill a weed and I eat the food that it was sprayed on it, then it's going to affect me in some way, somehow, at some time. So the other thing is, we are what we eat, we are what we don't eat. So either way. The biggest problem, well, I say the biggest, there's so many of them that it's tough, but one of the things that is pretty tough, and that is overeating. We eat too much. And we do, when we do that, we slow down our system. It's not able to function properly or digest. And at some point, we need to make sure that the foods we eat are for a basic need that we have to have. So I challenge you to think about that. You know, you may have thought that today has been a rambling day. No. It's that I know that the message of saying you should not drink carbonated beverages. You should stay away from sugar. You should look into what the side effects are of the things that you are doing and are not doing. What is best for me in my life and my health and my well-being. And who's going to help me be able to get what I need, do what I need to do. I challenge you. Think about it. What are you made out of? What is your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual makeup? And be honest with yourself. And find out if you can take and change your spiritual makeup. That you will be happier, healthier, wealthier. Everything in your life will be better. And you won't have to be controlled by the negativity, the food negativity, mental, emotional negativity that we let go into us through our mouth, our eyes, our ears, our feeling, our touch. We've gotta let it go so we can enjoy the life and not just have a life that we get by on. It's been my goal not to be abrupt. Maybe I should be more. That to get you thinking, get you motivated, to get you to the point that God wants you to be the element that makes Him happy because you are His creation. And then He can bless and honor you because you'll let Him. I'm Claiborne Holtzman. May good health be yours. And most of all, may the chemistry of your body, mind, soul, and spirit be what it needs to be so you can have God's continual grace and love and be who He wants you to be. Thank you for Independence Day. Thank you that we can still honor our God and love Him. In Jesus' name, amen.